police officers backing up away from the car. Were those videos or pictures?
That's video.
Okay. Was that
That's
from,
crime scene video.
that was part of the crime scene video also?
And it took 10.5 months to get that video.
Okay, and that was supposed to be in response to your questions about how many cars were out there, or what prompted them to send that?
So they did a welfare check because he was supposedly in the car. It was hot outside and the windows were rolled up and the car wasn't on. And the car supposedly had been sent there that they know of since 12 noon, and by now it's after 3 o'clock. So they called for a welfare check.
The
groundsman.
The groundsman.
Yeah.
Okay. And then once the police officer got there, that's when he could be seen coming back from the car.
The only person I've seen coming back from the car is going to be the police officer that went out for the welfare check. Now the groundsman did say that we walked up to the car, but I don't know which one would be the groundsman. I don't know which one is going to be the groundsman.
It was two of them?
No, just the one.
Just one.
Was this in the front of the Walmart, the back of the Walmart where the car was?
No, the car was at the whole nother location.
A whole nother, yeah.
That's what we missed. After supposedly him taking the keys from Walmart out of her shopping cart, he drove around for 2 days. And that's when he pulled over and killed himself. That's what we left out.
That's what we left out, yeah.
Remember, 2 days. He in a new town. He don't know nobody but her. He got a cell phone. He don't call his mother, his father, his 2 sisters, or his grandmother, or his cousin, and they like best friends. He don't call any of these people.
He drives around.
And he drives around there for 2 days.
So 8:30 one morning at the Walmart, but he ends up back at the Walmart.
No, he never went back.
So he never went back to pick up his kid?
No.
How did she get home? To this day, we're still asking. How did she get from Walmart to where she lived? Who picked her up? Because as my recollection can serve me on the Walmart video, after she checks out, now somebody supposedly stole your car. She calmly walks out the store, pushing her cart of groceries. And it didn't look like she was in a hurry to do anything. And then she goes out of frame and I don't see her no more.
So she didn't come back into the store to...
She wasn't escorted out by
The police, you don't see anything. She's not on her phone talking to nobody or nothing. She just walks out.
By herself, her and the baby.
She's not on the phone. She's not talking to nobody.
And your son is supposedly nowhere in...
But the thing of it is with the Walmart video, you don't even see my son on the video. You see everybody but my son.
Right.
We don't see our son on the video. We see an arm reach over in the cart with supposedly dreadlocks. An arm and some dreadlocks. That's all you see. You don't see a face. They don't show him grabbing the keys, walking to the door. There's no part of that in that video. And the still photo that they show me, I'm still trying to find out if this is the video. Because remember, I called Walmart because I wanted the video. And the people from the store called me saying he was the manager, Craig Edwards, saying he was the manager. And I told him I was trying to get a video. He said, well, did you try the police department? I said, yeah, the police department video I have is very distorted. He said, well, it's probably like that because we just keep recording over stuff. I said, so how do you know what people did if you're constantly recording over this stuff? He goes, well, you're turning this back on me. I said, what do you mean I'm turning this back on you? I'm trying to figure out, put together my son's last moment on the face of this earth. That's what I'm trying to do. And he goes, well, I just started working here in March. I said, so why would you even be on the phone call with me? And March is the same month my son died. So why are you on the phone call with me? Let me speak to somebody else.
So you do find it hard to believe that surveillance can only be saved for that short period of time?
No, he was trying to say that they just keep recording over video. That's why you can't see your son on the video. So if I can't see my son on the video, then how the hell the police see my son on the video? Explain that, make that make sense to me. Because you send me a still photo of somebody, right? This person ain't got no eyes, ain't got no nose, ain't got no lips. Where are the features that in the face? I haven't gotten a so-called lease from my son supposedly signing for a lease agreement. I haven't got the car report that Kara Carlson pulled out for her car being stolen. I haven't gotten any stolen report for the gun. I haven't gotten the ATF report. I haven't gotten the ballistics report from the gun. I haven't gotten the gunpowder testing residue from his hands. I haven't gotten any of that stuff. None. Not nothing.
If there was a so-called lease, are they able to tell you where he was trying to reside at?
We got the address. So with that being said, I go over to the address. They informed me my son never lived there. Not only did he not live there, he never even filled out an application to live there. So they have no records of my son. None.
But he supposedly had a lease.
Right. A lease.
Already written out.
Yeah.
Filled out.
Where's the lease at?
And they couldn't provide you with the lease.
So you mean to tell me, now let's think about it. How is it that you got a young man from a whole nother state and a young woman from a whole nother state, okay? They wasn't in Florida but a few days, okay? Now, how is it that neither one of them have a job, okay? But they got an apartment. Think about it. Not only do they have an apartment, they both supposedly signed this lease. Now, they find my son with no ID card on him. But you take her word to say he lived at this apartment. How? Where they do that at? How you don't know she had somebody else to sign that lease for him? How is it that you're trying to tell me that you investigated this when I know you didn't? Because if you would have investigated this, you would have went over to the apartment building and found out the same information I did. He ain't never signed a lease and he never filled out an application. So where did all this information come from the police department? I want to know that. I want to know, where did the address come from? Show me proof of the address because they're new here. It's not like his ID card had a Florida address on it. It had a Missouri address on it. Show me that he lived there. Wouldn't you as a detective do due diligence and say, well, let me make sure he really signed this lease? Because she could be saying whatever she wants to in hopes that y'all believe her. Far as I know, she could have had somebody else to go in Walmart and pretend to be my son. I don't know. Because all I know is, don't none of this stuff make no sense to me. I know that ain't my son reaching for them keys in that cart because my son had very long arms. I know that. And my son was light. His complexion was probably about 3 shades lighter than that arm that's going in that cart. I know that. So when am I going to get some answers? Some real answers. Some answers. Because that's what we want. We want answers. Police department, they need to be coming from somebody because she ain't never called us and said anything. How somebody go with you to Florida to help you move and he come up dead, you don't even have the decency to call his mother and father and say, Verdis is dead. You didn't say nothing. Not a word. She don't say nothing. Don't call and say nothing. And then if that's his child, so his child, the father is gone, but you don't want it to know the grandmother, the grandfather, and the sisters? Come on now. Come on.
Have you thought in your mind that she could possibly be a suspect?
Yeah, she's a suspect because she know what happened. She knows what happened. And why is it that the food on the Walmart video, a few pieces of the food is in the car that he was found in 2 days later? So where did the food come from?
And why would she want the vehicle back? If he lost his life in the vehicle, why would she want that car back?
Yeah, I found a whole review on Joe's Towing that she wrote about their customer service, but you didn't even have the decency to call your loved one's mother and father and say he died, he got killed, or whatever happened down there. You didn't say anything. Not one word. Not one. It's been almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years to the day on March the 11th, 2021. We have yet to hear from Kara Carlton. We have not heard anything from her.
What was the review?
The review basically talked about they had horrible customer service. A loved one committed suicide in her car, and all she was trying to do was go get the keys so she can get into her apartment. But the car's supposedly been over there since March the 11th, because you know they towed the car over there, but they told us they towed the car to forensics. But according to the review, the car was towed to the Joe's Towing, which is a tow lot that's not no forensics lab, okay, for vehicles. So she's saying, oh, the lady was so rude and I need to calm down my friend, and all I'm trying to do is get something out of my car. I had to call the detectives. So now I can write them and say, who are the detectives that went over there to help her get her stuff from the car and the keys? Which detectives did that? Because y'all got record of that too. See, you left that out because y'all didn't give me that information. So the loved one committed suicide. I'm grieving. How the hell you grieving? And what you grieving for? You ain't got no reason to be grieving. Because you eat off my son's death is what you're doing. People of the Joe's Towing, you can go look it up for yourself. They got all 1-star reviews. All the reviews bad. But they respond to her review, and then she responds back to what they responded to. Okay.
And they were coming from another state, correct?
Yeah.
And what was it, Missouri?
Yeah, they came from Missouri.
And why would they take the time to
just
Write all
to
the
do a
reviews.
review?
For what?
Right, especially doing
What's
all
the
this.
reason for it? Because it's a reason for it. What's the reason for it? To try to clear your conscience? Is that what it's for?
But the car was supposed to be in forensics,
That's what we were told.
but it
Yeah.
ends up in the
Joe's Towing.
Joe's Towing.
And I 100% know it went to Joe's Towing because according to the attachment to the police report, the car went to Joe's Towing.
Yeah.
So the car never went to the forensics lab. It went to Joe's Towing.
Sounds like two things are going on at one time.
Or
There's a lot of going on at one time.
well, they wanted to sound like one thing is going on, but it's actually two. Only one thing going on, the opposite of what they say is going on. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
When is your last contact with the girlfriend?
Our last contact with her was she texted my husband some crazy text messages. When was that? I don't even remember. You still got the stuff in your phone?
Yeah.
Because you know I don't delete nothing out of my
I
phone.
don't delete nothing either.
Was that 2019 and 2020?
It was between 2018 and 2019.
2018.
Yeah. It's when Because what she did was cut us off, is what she did. She cut us all the way off. So, her and my son, and this is the thing that they didn't know in Pinellas Park. When my son and Kara were in Missouri, they didn't live in the same household. They didn't even live together.
No, but she told them they were.
No, she did not. They said they lived together in Florida. When we dropped the ball that they didn't live together in Missouri, that's when stuff really started shifting around. They didn't live together in Missouri. When she had the baby's probably about a month old, she moved to her mother's house.
Yeah.
And she wanted my son to go, and he said, I am not moving to your mother's house. She promised him she needed help with the baby.
Why the trip to Florida?
Why the Florida trip? I think to set him up to be killed. That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of the trip. That's what I really believe.
Do you think she
ain't in Florida no
She
more.
ain't in Florida no more.
She gone. Oh, she gonna resurface though. She ain't in Florida no more.
And I think that's the whole reason why.
But I'm trying to figure out
That's the whole reason
if
why.
they didn't live in the apartments, because the lady let me know neither one of them lived there. I knocked on the door of the address that they supposed to be staying at. Nobody came to the door. But it didn't sound like nobody was home either. It's because I didn't hear no noise coming from the apartment. So these people was probably at work, because the time I went over there was probably around maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I didn't get to go back over there because my intentions was to go back over there. Time go by. Because I'm trying to get a connection with all this stuff in Florida that my son supposedly had encountered with. I get a connection with nothing.
Between Missouri and Florida, what was the last contact you all had with your son? By way, whether it's a text, phone call, what was
We
the
talked to
last?
him on the phone.
Talk to him on the phone.
Yeah. That was it. We talked to him on the phone. Well, my husband talked to him on the phone, and that was pretty much it. And he said he'll be coming to Tennessee, and that's just pretty much it.
That's when
And we were
Tennessee.
planning for him to come to Tennessee. And that's the thing that really hurts the most is I was so glad that he was going to be away from her. I really was. I was so happy.
And that was,
Like, he is finally getting away from her. Because any woman that doesn't want a man to work, I could see if he had some kind of disability. I could see if he had some kind of mental, mental disability or anything like that to keep him from working. But an able-bodied grown man, physical strength, healthy, and you think he's supposed to sit in the house because you don't want him working around no girls.
Okay.
So after the funeral on March the 2019, we had a funeral for my son. Even though I didn't feel it was my son, people convinced me to have this funeral. So I did. And things were not sitting right with me because I was still sick and I had a very bad headache. And I just didn't look right. Nothing looked right. Everybody kept coming up to me saying, what did they do to him? It looked like he was beaten to death. If that's him, why is his nose like that? Is that a real nose? And it was just one thing after another. And so I told my husband, I went to bed that night. That next morning I woke up, I had a very bad headache and I wasn't feeling good. I went on to church because I'm trying to find, that peace. Then that Monday came around. I called the funeral home first thing in the morning. I told them, I said, I want to wait off for my son, and I want to go ahead and get an independent autopsy done because this stuff is not making no sense to me and it's not sitting right with me. Well, we finally get the independent autopsy done on April the 11th of 2019, and she initially told me that he had a tangential gunshot wound to the head, because my husband couldn't find an exit wound on the body. So she said that's because there is no exit wound. She said it's a tangential gunshot wound. She said the bullet went up under the scalp and slid along the skull. That's why the wound was so long. And she said the tracking from what was used was from a high power weapon like a Magnum or a assault rifle. So I said, okay. She said the skull itself had no holes in it, no bullet holes. Okay, but she said what I'm concerned about is the skull. She said the skull is so badly fractured, I've never seen anything like this in my life. She said this skull is bad, and I mean bad. She said, are there any other requests that you want me to do to him while I have him in my possession? Is there anything else? I said, what about his nose? Is that a real nose? She said, yes, that's a real nose. I said, that's not his nose. She's like, well, what did you see when you saw his nose? I said, a slender nose. She said, yes, that's what I see too. At the same time, I don't know what Illinois rule is, what Missouri rule is, and what Florida rule is, but when you get the wrong body, what do they do? Because that's where I'm confused at, because I still don't know. So as that time go by, she says, can you go ahead and get the dental records so I can match the dental records with him? So that's what she did. She got the dental records. I had the dental clinic to send over the records to her. And she said they were inconclusive. They were not a 100% match for the dental records. And that's how you identify the body.